Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
You are listening to the Brilliance Business Show, conversations with leading experts in business. And today I have a wonderful guest, Tamra Blankenship. Tamra is a relationship communication specialist, and our topic today is release resistance from conflict. So I'm really looking forward to a conversation. Tamra, welcome to the Brilliance Business Show.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here.
Before I get started, Tamra, I just need to make a legal disclaimer that Tamra is not offering legal advice or legal assistance. So let's get started with the show. Tamra, can you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and your business?
Absolutely. So I have been amazingly passionate about helping people navigate conflict. And most people run from conflict, right? So my passion is to help people unlock those little hidden treasures that come in conflict when people are feeling like they just don't enjoy, having those tough conversations and trying to kind of come up with a new way to transcend that resistance into an opportunity for deeper connection. So I love focusing on either people who are navigating relationships that are, either about to go through divorce and they're trying to make peace and move into their next chapter of life, or navigate some of these uncomfortable spaces that are going through that. I discovered this a long time ago when I was actually, I think it was probably about, I want to say 6 years old, when I was literally dealing with a lot of my own inner conflict, and I was having a lot of struggles with feeling safe and understanding some of my experiences I was having. I was sexually assaulted at a very early age, and out of that, I navigated some of that, the limiting beliefs of wanting to be accepted and loved by others. And so part of my expression came out where I was starting to restrict my eating habits and trying to control, because I couldn't control my outer experience. I was trying to control my inner experience, if that makes sense. Navigating nutrition and back then it'd be considered a picky eater, but it was actually more behavioral. I was struggling with control. And from there, I started having a learning disorder and having a hard time feeling deeply connected and empathetic to myself and my situation, because I felt like I didn't belong or didn't fit in. So part of those experiences were learning to have a voice for myself and feel confident and communicate in a different way. And so throughout that, I became very focused on understanding why things were happening to me. So throughout my life, I kind of was going through a lot of experiences that perpetuated that cycle. And about when I was 40 years old, I was going through a divorce, and I found a deep connection, a deep bond with the Tibetan studies. And so I got into working with monks and studying a lot about surrender and acceptance and moving through some of the patterns that create these resistances in our lives and really transcend those moments into something powerful. I was also a deacon for a number of years and working in the church and helping people in a community sense, being able to be more powerful and more impactful. So a lot of the times when we're in a community of like minds, there are a lot of different minds within those like minds, right?
Yes.
So we can get an opportunity to be supported and seen differently. So it was an amazingly powerful opportunity for me to help navigate conflict in that way. Currently, I work with another company called Know Your Talent, and I help them do some of the corporate conflict resolution stuff. And I also work more with helping people understand their behaviors and how they're showing up. So I'm deeply immersed and obsessed with helping people understand the things that they're pulling into their lives and how they can navigate them differently to feel a connection and deep joy in some of the experiences that we mostly run away from, right? Nobody likes conflict. So getting a chance to play around with different ways of experiencing that and understanding some of your own reactive behaviors and how they put you into those spins. So it's a lot of fun.
I hear you. What a journey, Tamra. And I really resonate with the trauma and the things that you went through as a child, because I was heavily bullied, very different to what you went through, but it does really damage you slightly as a youngster, and you really do have to work on those traumas and those belief systems and feeling different and not worthy. I know that's very hard when you are growing up and having those negative beliefs about yourself, and it does take self-work and hard work to get over these things. And it's great now that you have taken all of these skills and you really can support others, which you do on their journeys to really improve their lives and really get better belief systems and really make progress in business and in life. So I really admire the work that you're doing, and it's a great journey that you are on. Tell us, Tamra, who are your customers? Who do you look after?
I love supporting predominantly. It's funny because conflict is everywhere, right? I mean, you have it in your personal life, you have inner conflict, and you have corporate or business conflict, or
yes,
if you're work for others, it could be, at work conflict. So it's really fascinating. I find myself working with a pretty broad range. I have a lot of youngsters that are in my community that we get a chance to help them navigate college or major transitions. The consistencies throughout everyone is that they're going through a major hurdle. So it could be going through divorce. It could be transitioning from middle school or high school, transitioning from, high school to college and starting to become that mature adult. It's amazing. There's just so many opportunities in life that we can learn from and start to turn these opportunities into good golden nuggets of, gifts in our journey. So it really is profound. In my corporate world, I find that a lot of the people that are seeking support are trying to navigate teams and how to interact behavior in a different way so that the systems aren't bogging down and slowing down production, but actually creating cohesive units where people are inspired by each other, which is super exciting to get a chance to help people understand how they're showing up and what's moving and why they're so resistant or why they're avoidant in that community, in sharing that or communicating that with someone. Their own shadows that are popping up, if you will, that block them from being authentic and vulnerable with each other. So it's amazing.
And very rewarding for you to see when you have worked with people, the progress that they have made and the transformation that can be achieved. Do you recall a specific aha moment that led to the launch of your business?
Yeah, an overwhelming intensity of people coming to me asking for support. That's when I realized, okay, maybe I should be doing this.
Yes.
It's so funny how sometimes the most obvious things we don't realize are what we should be doing. We try to stick with the beliefs of, I need to get a job or do these things. And I've always been an entrepreneur my entire life. I've done sculptured cake. I've done all kinds of creative world experiences. And I'm super grateful for those, as all have taught me different things along my journey. But this one was not necessarily driven by me as much as this desire to be in support of others and be their cheerleader, if you will, to seeing the value and the gifts of things that are going on for them. So really just that overwhelming sense of a demand for something. And the craziest thing is now this crazy craving to write these books. So I've been in a process of just witnessing, observing, and collecting and starting to document now. So it's just been an interesting process to celebrate the journey of developing a business like this. It's been very exciting.
What really motivates you to jump out of bed every morning?
Oh, this is a great question, right? Everyone wants to know what's their why. For me, the driving force is always, who do I get to meet today? Who am I going to get to spend time with? For me, it's all about connection and the journey, exploration. So I never know who's, outside of my client docket and who's coming in the day. I never really know exactly what they're confronted with in that, before the day unrolls. So it is kind of exciting to see, what are they struggling with? What are those really cool aha moments that I'm going to get to celebrate and witness in them? So it's really about that. Getting up and being of service really does feed me very well. So I love that.
And I think when you're coming from service, it's not like you're working either. It's more you're following your passions. So I'm a big believer that you have to follow what your heart desires, Tamra. Now, what sets your business apart and what unique need are you filling for your clients and customers?
Well, if I answered this from my client's perspective, they'd tell me that I'm a great holder of space. That the one thing is I'm extremely neutral. There is a non-judgment rule. It's always taking a step back and sharing from a different perspective so that they can see something that they never saw before. So I am a true believer that the one thing I can offer that is uniquely different is shifting perspective in a way that not only transcends the experience, but creates and expands their empathy so they can actually relate to the other person in a deeper way and transcend that alienation where we feel like that this person just doesn't get it because they're not like me. And really realize how much more in common we have or what is creating the resistances in us. And so we overcome that and we become more clear on the people in our lives are here mirroring us and giving us a new opportunity to see something different. So it's been just sharing from my personal experience, what I feel like is so different is the peace and the silence and the witnessing that transcends their ability to do it forever. And that's what I want to do, is not necessarily have them with me forever, but always be in my family, yes. But get through it quickly so that they can move on and enjoy their life again.
And you actually mentioned something there. When we're going through challenges, struggles, or hardships, or negative belief systems, you do kind of feel like you're on your own or you're the only person. But I think when you have worked on yourself, you kind of realise we are all so similar. We're all connected and we all have the same wants and needs and sameness. It really struck a chord with me. It really made me think back to when I was going through challenges, and you do feel that you're the only one. You feel alone, but we are all so similar and connected. So I just wanted to make that point. And why do you feel your service is especially important in today's modern world?
Well, boy, with the whole onset of COVID, divorce is on a huge influx. Domestic violence is up 75%, which is insanely scary. People are stuck at home and they're not able to release their tension or go out as much. We're starting to finally see some of the release of that, where life is getting somewhat more normal. People are actually venturing out and doing things again, but they still don't have the full freedom that they're used to. So I'm finding that people are navigating resistance in a way of feeling more paralyzed by outer experiences versus recognizing opportunity inside those moments. So I feel like my biggest campaign of truth right now for others is helping them recognize that this is just a belief that we're invested in and that there's so much more going on. I truly believe this is a trifecta of 2020 was all about, purging our beliefs around health, purging our beliefs around relationships, and purging our belief around money, meaning the COVID, Black Lives Matter, and of course in the US, it would be, of course, the elections. So yes. I feel like the trifecta happened last year, and I don't think people have fully embraced all that has gone on in 2020 still, because I think there is just a lot to process. But it was a total reboot. It was a total surrender period where people got an opportunity to slow the clock down as a collective. And even around the world, we all kind of did it as a one giant big sigh and get a chance to reconnect to what really matters and reconnect those relationships and speak from a different voice. So what was a powerful year for me is to witness people in transition from thinking they were in control
Yes.
of what was going on to recognizing there was no such thing as control. So it was really an impactful year. And so beautiful. I know most people look at 2020 as a quite horrendous year financially for many. Some businesses extremely thrived and grew through the contrast of the ease. Other businesses, stopped existing, and there was a leveling out, of some of these things. And, hopefully those people who lost businesses or lost jobs are reinventing themselves and coming up with new opportunities. It's a challenging period for many, for sure.
Yes, it was definitely an interesting year. I think the world did wake up a little bit, and it's brought people closer together, even though we're isolated.
Absolutely.
It still brought human connection and showed us the power of online and connectedness of anywhere in the world we can be connected to. And I did think a lot of people will have dug deep and really reevaluated what's important to them and what they're doing. I know myself, I slowed down a little bit and take weekends off now, which I didn't do before. So I think there was definitely a lot of self-reflection. Now, my next question, Tamra, I'd like to know a few more detail on the kind of service and products you offer.
Oh, absolutely. Currently, I do a lot of one-on-ones, moving into more group dynamic programs, because when we're mirrored in a community, we actually do kind of let go of our belief systems a lot faster. So what's beautiful about group dynamic is you can share a story and more people can relate to it, but also by being witnessed by so many, just instead of just one person, that story of shame that we carry starts to transcend and we start having a different encounter. So the process I am invested in is helping people surrender and move through their shame. And the only way to get there is through empathy. So by helping people recognize that they have a choice to do something different in a big dynamic, it changes that structure. So we can't really hide as much, if that makes sense. So I do a lot of group work and private practice. As I mentioned earlier, I'm in the current throes of writing a couple books. One's a comedy, which I'm super excited to release.
Congratulations.
And thank you. It's going to be a very fun book. So it's called Dear Mr. Phony. And when it comes out, it's all about dating and life relationships and recognizing the values of those experiences. And so I make it into a comedy because I think we need to be more playful and joyful with our lives and really have fun. I mean, the whole point to life is to experience it and to build our emotional range and to celebrate some of these experiences we believe shouldn't be happening into really cool opportunities of like, what am I missing? What's this golden nugget thing that's hiding here that I can't see, and transcend that experience. So it's really been, it's going to be a very fun experience to share that. And from there, we do a lot of retreats as well. I'm getting back into the retreat land because we did with COVID. I kind of was, hand tied. So I have a retreat coming up in March, which I'm super excited about. It's called Soul Fire Igniter Retreat. And we're really deeply investing in, surrendering to some of those limiting beliefs, but we're doing it more in inspiration of self. So really trying to understand, what am I here for? What are my opportunities? And really kind of do something different with your life. So I'm super excited to see who shows up in that. So that comes up in March.
Now, I know you have all sorts of client success stories. I want you to just pick one that really stands out to you.
My favorite story is a story. It has a sad sort of twist to it, but a gentleman had reached out to me. He was about 90, I think he was 92, I think when I started working with him, he was about 91, turning 92. He was dying and he wanted to reignite his relationship with his son. So we had to make peace with some of the situations that were going on in his life, help him understand some of the the patterns he's created in his life and why his son chose the path he had taken, help him understand how to make peace with what was going on. And in the end, it was quite beautiful. His son actually reached out and they made amends before he passed. So that was a beautiful, awesome experience, but also to help someone who had been so angry and so invested in this fight, to help him surrender to it. And then the minute he did, that's when his son was able to step in, which was so cool. I mean, it was just I don't feel like people really understand that we put up these brick walls, these barriers that block people from coming into our lives and making amends or making peace. And we don't even realize that energetically we're doing this. And his son, he didn't reach out to his son or anything like that. His son didn't even know he was passing, which was kind of crazy. But just out of the blue, his son just reached out the minute he had made peace with it. And I remember that week, he was just like, Tamra, and he was in full of tears. Tamra, I can't believe it. He actually reached out. I haven't spoken to him in 20 years. Why would he reach out now of all times? And it was just a beautiful thing just to see him make peace with some of it and move forward and celebrate a new life journey. So it's just,
I do love a success story, Tamra, and so rewarding for you. And I imagine as well, this must be really good for your soul and your own journey of healing, because when you're doing this for your clients, it must have an impact on you as well. Absolutely.
This is why I say this is what drives me to get up every morning. I just have no idea what's coming. And it's like every conversation for me is like Christmas, if you will, because it's like unfolding a new story, a new opportunity. I should say a great novel, right? But it's just really amazing. And even when people are invested in that fight, that stance of anger and frustration, I can hear the softness that's starting to unfold. Even though they're invested, they're starting to expand their perspective and see somebody else's side of it. And it starts to, with that understanding and that empathy for another person's frustration, even if they're resistant to it, they start to expand their compassion. And it's just, there's nothing better than witnessing and holding space for someone as they're growing and developing. I think this is why teachers love their job,
I agree.
Getting a chance to share that.
Mm-hmm. Serving and really making an impact and a difference to others. It's just beautiful. And how do clients typically hear about you, and are there certain life moments that usually lead to them seeking you out?
Usually it's referral based. But what's been a new trend is I've been sharing a lot of these stories on YouTube. And so I've been getting a lot of call-ins from social media because I'm starting to share some of the journeys and some of the experience and some of those aha moments my clients are having with social media, which has been really kind of a new shell for me to expose some of those beautiful stories in a different way. And it's really been very exciting. And the referrals to me are such a huge compliment. I think people always feel referrals are a huge compliment, but when I get these calls, it's not, so tell me about what you can do for me. It's more like, oh, Tamra, you have no idea what I've been going through. And it's like we're all old friends because we're moving into this space of support. And it's so clear that there's this lovely, warm space for them to step in and to be accepted for where they are. And it's just profound. It's just I'm so honored people feel drawn to be in a supported space like that, because it feeds me tremendously. And it's just a celebration of life. And I'm super grateful. As I remember when I was going through Tibetan studies, it was all about, the connection is the most valuable thing that we have as humans. And it's just so celebrated in this space. So I'm super grateful for it.
Even sharing on social media those stories, I know the power of words, Tamra, and you could be having such an impact just by someone watching a story. I really know I speak in schools around bullying, drug awareness, mental health. I know that really can change someone's life and make them really think differently, how they show up, the decisions that they make. So it's just really, really important work that you are doing in this world.
Yeah.
I have really enjoyed a conversation with you today. Is there anything that we did not cover that you would like to share?
Just one thing, I'd like to leave a sweet message for everyone to recognize that you may be in a very dark space and feeling unsupported and unseen and unloved, or whatever the story may be for you. There is hope, and know that we all have these awesome opportunities during these struggles to do something better with what's being shown. So if you're in that space, write it out, get it out of your head, and witness it, observe it from a different perspective, and allow yourself to use that as rocket fuel to get you to the next level. Instead of using it as a limiting belief or restriction, use those pain moments to give you something more in your life. You know, like resistance to me is always just the contrast of your desires. So if you can transcend that moment, that resistance, and see it for what it is, just on a piece of paper, as black and white as it can be, to see it as just a story and recognize that there's opportunities if you could just shift it. And if you need help, by all means, reach out to somebody who can support you and witness it from a more neutral space so that you can see something out of it. It's an amazing opportunity.
There is a blessing in every stressing. That's what I'm taking from your message.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the Brilliance Business Show. Can you share with our listeners, how can people connect with you, Tamra?
Absolutely. Probably the best way is to go directly to the website and schedule a session. So I offer a free 20-minute session there, get a chance to get to know each other, kind of like a coffee talk, a quick visit. And that is TamraBlankenship.com. So www.tamra, B as in boy, LANKENSHIP.com, and get a chance to get to know each other.
I have really, really enjoyed our conversation today. And even from our first conversation via Zoom, we just connected with each other, Tamra. And absolutely. I would highly recommend anyone out there who has got those limiting beliefs, they've got that conflict, they're maybe having relationship issues, go and check out tamrablankenship.com and connect and book this 20-minute free coffee get-together. Tamra, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much. So great to be here with you and spend some time again together.
It's been my pleasure. You have been listening to the Brilliance Business Show, conversations with leading experts in business.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.